Start with the Webinar Energy Conservation Day 2021. This is the day to be celebrated every year on the December 14, and nationally it is celebrated all over the India in a different departments with the theme. And this year, the Energy Conservation Day observed to be in a different local centers. Now we are also having a eminent personality who is recognized as an energy auditor, none other than Dr. Suresh T. Mane. Currently, he is working as a principal in Girjabai Sale Institute of Technology, Karwar. I welcome you, sir. And my uh, I will extend my welcome to our Honorable Chairman, Engineer Ramesh Shankar sir. He is the current Chairman of East of Engineers, Belagavi Local Center. I heartily welcome you, sir. Then I extend the heartily welcome to all the senior members of Institution of Engineers for attending this webinar in spite of their busy schedule. Now they are available online, and I welcome one and all to this webinar on the Energy Conservation Day 2021. We all know the energy conservation is not a day to be observed. It is a decision and practice using the less energy. We have to, most of the time we say that turning off light when we leave the room, or unplugging the appliances when they are not in use, and walking instead of driving are all the examples of energy conservation methods to be adopted in our daily life. In simple word, what I can say, the energy conservation is nothing but reducing the consumption of the energy by producing or by using less what is available with us in the form of pure energy sources, or we can use less, because most of the time what energy we are using is not renewable, may not be available tomorrow. We have to conserve it, and we have to use judiciously these energy resources. And with these words, I welcome one and all to this August gathering on the profile. Now I will move to the next step. I will introduce our today's chief guest and the today's speaker, Dr. Suresh T. Mane. Suresh T. Mane is principal GSIT Karwar, has undergone schooling in a Kendriya Vidyalaya and studied mechanical engineering from Karnataka University and MTech from VTU Belagavi, and he is got the PhD from the Mysore. He got the PhD from the Kuvempu University, Shimoga. And from before 2012, he was working in the Southwestern Railways, and he had taken the voluntary retirement from the Southwestern Railway. He was in a higher position, and he left that job from 2012, almost from 9 years back. He switched over to a different arena called as academics. From 2012, he is working in different capacities, from assistant professor to professor. Then he shifted to the principal. From past 7 years, he is working as a principal of Girjabai Sale Institute of Technology, Karwar. Then he is instrumental in a lot of programs. He is also attending a lot of workshop and FTPs. He is a resource person for the AICT's Atal FTP, AICT STTP, and national and international conference. He is always an active member in most of the technical events. And apart from this, he is a certified manager and energy auditor from Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BEE, Government of India, Ministry of Power, New Delhi. He has undertaken energy audit of institutions and has published his findings in the research journals. When we were working in the Sheikh College of Engineering Technology, he was taken that he practically showed how exactly this energy auditing is done. Then he published that paper, and we are all witnessing how exactly the energy auditing done in the institute also, not only in the industry or not only in the energy production or the distribution centers. He is shown practically in the education institution also. Currently he has guided more than 18 undergraduate projects and PG projects, and a lot of exposure with the engineering subjects, with the industry exposures he got. And I already told, from first 7 years he is working in the capacity of principal in GSIT. And along with that, currently he is a Board of Studies member for the VTU, and at the same time he is Board of Examinations in the VTU. He is taking most of the academic decisions in the highest body of our university, highest body of our academics in the VTU. Sir, with this report, I welcome you once again. Now the stage is given to you, sir. You please proceed in the next proceedings.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for your nice words. At the outset, I thank Institute of Engineers, Belagavi chapter, as well as Dr. Veeranna DK in person for the opportunity given to me. Sir, I am audible? Audible, sir? Huh?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes,
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I am very happy to interact with you all today, being an Energy Conservation Day. As you rightly said, it is not a day just to be for the ornamental sake you need to celebrate, but you need to practice in real terms basically. And I am very happy that Institute of Engineers, the leading body, has taken initiative to celebrate in a befitting manner. So you would like me to present the PPT and talk? Yes, sir. Now I'll be sharing my screen, sir.
Please.
Sir, the screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible. You go ahead.
Achha. So the topic for the topic today is go green. So now I'd like to just impress upon that our honorable Prime Minister during the Independence Day speech very recently on August 15th, 2021, he spoke about green hydrogen also. I think that is a very apt topic to be spoken, because when you talk of green, as of today, hydrogen is being produced in India and it is used for mainly for manufacturing of fertilizers as well as in refining of crude petroleum. But we are talking about green hydrogen, which is made out of renewable energy. Renewable energy in the sense carbon manufacturing of hydrogen through electrolysis of water is a very energy intensive work. It consumes a lot of electricity. So instead of using the conventional electricity, the plants are afloat to produce solar electricity or wind electricity, and then use it for electrolysis of water to produce hydrogen. And this hydrogen produced will be known as green hydrogen. Already, I think you will be aware that Gas Authority of India Limited, L&T, Adani as well as Ambani, they have shown a lot of interest, and they have pledged almost 75,000 crores each to ensure that after 1 decade the cost of hydrogen will be in par with petrol today, like $1 per kg of hydrogen over a decade. So I think this was the first point I would like to highlight about going green. As a nation, basically, not only India, I would like to tell that a lot of the developed countries like US, Europe, Australia, they have all plans for going for green hydrogen, and the technology, a lot of R&D is being happening, and even India, like Department of Science and Technology, has given crores of rupees to various institutions to develop the technology, so that the hydrogen produced through green means is affordable as well as accessible and available to all. So I have got a long list of slides right from global perspective about energy to steam power plant, and in the Indian context, the electricity situation of 2020, the energy security, energy efficiency benefits, energy demand and supply in India, why there is a need for energy conservation, environmental implications, Indian electricity situation, energy intensity. You being senior people, I think will appreciate this. Then there are major energy consuming sectors, we will see some. Then what are the potential for conservation of energy, then barriers to energy conservation, then Energy Conservation Act of 2001. Then there is an examination for Bureau of conducted by Bureau of Energy Efficiency annually. Actually, Virana sir told me to dwell on this also, so I will be speaking something on this. And various energy efficient technologies, basically whether it is a thermal engineering or as well as electrical energy, we will be looking at this. And some academicians, if they are there, will talk something about academics also. Then energy conservation in illumination, cooling, then the star rating program of BE, and there are a lot of energy efficiency measures like in industrial boilers, steam systems, furnaces, waste heat recovery, insulation, motors, drives, pumps, compressors, DG sets and vehicles. So I got a lot of PPT. Please tell me when I should stop so that I will continue slowly. So these are the various organizations in India actually which deal with this energy. Like you have got PCRA, Petroleum Conservation Research Association, which looks mainly into oil. And then you have got Bureau of Energy Efficiency. In Karnataka, you have got something called CREDEL, Karnataka Renewable Energy Development Association Limited. Sorry. And this CEA comes out with this Central Electrical Authority, which gives the statistics about electricity produced by various sectors. This I took from the your IEI. This only. What a man can do. We will go further. There are various organizations globally also, like British Petroleum, EIA, US Energy Information Administration, then DEFRA, UK, even International Energy Agency, IEA, which deals into this energy aspects. So actually IEA annually they come out with the World Energy Outlook, and they say that if you just go through the last line, 1 billion people on this planet still do not have access to electricity. I think this is a very glaring example that still lot has to be done. 1 billion, we have on this planet we have 7.5 billion, and 1 billion still, that is 100 crore people have no access to electricity. In their executive summary of this IEA, International Energy Agency World Energy Outlook 2019, second point they highlighted was the energy related emissions, the emissions which come out while producing electricity, maybe from mainly through this coal route, that is thermal route, steam power plants, coal power plants, is very high, and we are consuming this fossil fuels at a very high rate. So these are the issues. We have issues with the environment, and even the fossil fuels are depleting very fast. And third, I think the CO2 level. Sir, can anybody tell me what is the CO2 level today in atmosphere? Any guess? Any guess, sir? In ppm? Yeah, exactly. 450 ppm. This is not. We can't sustain this actually. This is unsustainable. And I think already all the learned members of this Institute of Engineers, they might have seen the glaciers are melting. North Pole, already glaciers are melting, and the damage is done. Basically, the damage is done. Now we are only trying to survive and prolong, because we can't redo whatever damage, anthropogenic means whatever man has done, because man is not the sole owner of this planet Earth. There are so many plants, animals, wildlife, marine life, all inhabit this planet Earth, and unfortunately man has taken that this Earth belongs to him, and he is doing whatever he can do just to say that he is having improved standard of living and all. And in this process he has damaged the Earth beyond repair basically. And now the world, I think other day there was a COP26 you have seen in Glasgow. Even Honorable Prime Minister represented the country, and he told that by 2070 India will be net zero. I think you are all aware, but another 50 years down the line India will be net zero. We will not be like emitting whatever is emitted will be absorbed. So this Bharat Petroleum, sorry, not British Petroleum also has an energy outlook annually published. So they say that it is very challenging, and the world leaders, they came for this Paris Agreement actually. One good thing is most of the global leaders now they have agreed that they have to do something seriously, and I think all the countries, not only India, most of the countries are doing their bit to reduce that emissions. And basically it deals with like mostly with CO2 emissions. So this is like a power plant, steam power plant. I just wanted to touch upon this steam power plant because even in India today we have almost 3,70,000 megawatt of generating capacity, but this is installed capacity. But when it comes to real actual production of electricity, 60% of our electricity even today 2021 as we discussed, this is produced by coal route. And this is the case even globally also, not only in India. Globally also almost 60% of the electricity produced is through coal route, and is very robust system. Like solar and all, solar photovoltaic, it is available only for 6 to 8 hours a day, and there are challenges for storage and all. But this steam power plant, coal power plant, they run 24/7 into 365 days. So electricity uses a lot of coal, basically, you can see. Now this is the usage of coal, what I wanted to show here. You can see that coal is mainly used by 64% of the coal is used for producing electricity in India. Even though we speak of electrical vehicles, but the electrical vehicles, the power, again you can see, I think this is an old figure, 2017-18, 64% comes through coal only. And if you look at a typical 1000 megawatt coal power plant, you can see here, I think there is some disturbance. Please, I request the person to mute. You can see this 1000 megawatt coal power plant. So it consumes almost 12,000 tons per day of coal, and it produces almost 4,200 tons per day of ash. You can see left side, these are inputs: coal, furnace oil, water, electricity, and it also consumes 80 megawatt of electricity, and it emits 600 tons per day of sulfur dioxide and NOx, like basically. So this you can imagine what will be the issue of disposing this amount of ash and this CO2 as well as SOx and NOx being emitted into the atmosphere. These three things are very dangerous. They have very detrimental effect not only to mankind, but living species as well as even buildings, like you have seen in the case of Taj Mahal. So one small thing you can see here, man found out this fossil fuels some 100 years back, and another 100 years I think this fossil fuel will be exhausted. If you look at this graph, maybe 200-250 years span, the entire water reservoir of fossil fuels, whatever mankind has explored so far, it will get exhausted. So this is a bad thing. Means we are not looking for sustainable development. Basically, when we talk of sustainable development, it involves economy, it involves environment, as well as social concern. But if you look at this graph, another 100 years, I think we will run out of fuel. So today we are witnessing a huge economic growth. India is aspiring for 5 trillion economy. Then the reserves of oil and natural gas, I think it may last for some few decades only. And the problem with Indian coal, actually India imports a lot of coal also, because Indian coal has a lot of ash content, and that you have seen in the graph what I have shown. So around 20-25% of ash. So that is also dangerous. So we import coal from Indonesia, Australia and all, where the ash content is less. And basically the oil import bill of 2019, even the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned it, it's almost like 7,50,000 crores annually, which is 2,000 crores of foreign exchange being spent every day just to import oil. And this 80% of that oil goes for transport only. Looking at the electricity situation, though we have, as I said, 3,70,000 megawatt of installed capacity, we still have a deficit. Around 10% of deficit is there. And the thermal share is very high, almost 80%, and renewable share is now somewhere around 17-18%. See, in India became independent in 47, but even today, India is not independent with respect to its energy needs. India is an energy dependent nation. So there are concerns of energy security also. And secondly, we don't have the storage capacity. Tomorrow, if something goes wrong and the imports, oil imports are cut, then we can't sustain more than 2-3 weeks. So because we don't have the storage capacity also inbuilt in our system. That is why India has consciously taken a decision for going for electrical vehicles to reduce the dependence on oil imports. And as I spoke about hydrogen, India also aspires that another next 1 or 2 decades, India, instead of being a net import of crude oil, it should be an exporter of hydrogen. So this is the vision what the nation has. So what are the benefits of energy efficiency? You can look at industry, you can look at nation globally. So the efficiency benefits will be, the bills will be less, increased competitiveness for industry, okay, improved profits. Whereas globally also reduced greenhouse gas, GHG stands for greenhouse gas emissions, and we can have a sustainable environment. India, basically the per capita energy consumption is per person per year. We are almost consume 1120 units, which is very less compared to global standards. But still, because India has a huge population of 1.35 billion, it is a very big amount. Now coming to energy conservation. Now we have seen that we are using all the imported sources of energy, and a lot of foreign exchange is sent out of the nation, and we have concerns with energy security also of the nation, and this pollution has ill effects on human beings, all the flora and fauna, and we should definitely go for better and effective utilization of energy. And a lot of homes still yet to be electrified, especially in the remote distant places which are not accessible by the grid, and lot of CO2 emissions globally. So I think this was just these are all pictures whatever I have taken is from the handbooks given by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. They are available online. So the environmental concerns is, I think, like global warming is there, acid rain, ozone layer depletion, and just I want to highlight that 1 unit of electricity, whatever you are using, it results in almost like 1.1 kg of CO2 is released in the atmosphere to produce 1 unit of electricity. And even petrol and diesel, whatever we burn in our vehicles, it leads to almost 3 kg of CO2 per kg of petrol or diesel burn. So this is what we are actually, our carbon footprint, what harm we are causing to the atmosphere. And I think you are all aware about the greenhouse effect. I need not speak of that. Because of the greenhouse effect, the heat from the sunlight is trapped, and there is global warming, and this global warming is melting the glaciers, and now we can see the coastal regions, a lot of these coastal areas are being submerged. And acid rain, I think in this Taj Mahal was affected by acid rain. So the Supreme Court actually of India has taken an active role, and now there are a lot of legislation on environment protection, like Environment Protection Act of 1986. We have the Air Act, Water Act. So a lot of legislations have come to protect the environment. And ozone layer depletion also, I think this ozone layer protects us from the ultraviolet radiation, harmful ultraviolet radiation, and now a lot of efforts have been made to restore the ozone layer concentration. So you can see here the installed capacity 3,70,000 megawatt, but in that 54% is coal, 7% is gas, total thermal is almost 61%, but this is the source which continuously produces electricity round the clock, whereas this renewable energy sources like wind and solar, they are intermittent in nature. So if you for the annum 2019-20, the generation was almost 1252 billion units. The plant load factor was 56, whereas the deficit was 6555 million units. So even for renewables, we consider small hydro as renewable, along with biomass, solar as well as wind. These are non-polluting sources. One issue I wanted to know, tell if you know about energy intensity, like to produce 1 kg of steel or to produce 1 kg of cement. These are very energy intensive industries. So India, the technology itself is very slightly primitive. You can see we consume almost 3.7 times more energy that of Japan, or 1.5 times that of USA. So this indicates high wastage of energy and very high energy saving potential. I am talking about, this is regarding energy intensity per unit of GDP. So what are the major sectors which consume energy in India? Industry is the topmost one, which consumes almost 41%, followed by residential 25%, and then agriculture as well as transport. There are a lot of T&D, transmission and distribution losses, somewhere around on an average 20%. And today I think 46% of the energy is produced by private sector. So there is almost you can say 20% of energy saving potential in whatever domain you take: transport, industry, agriculture as well as residential sector. So if you look at like we can save almost 35, as a nation we can save almost 35,000 megawatt of energy. And just to give a hint, to produce one, to have an installed capacity of 1 megawatt of any power plant, it costs almost, the capital cost is almost 5 crores. So it involves a lot of capital investment. So as I was telling, energy intensity, similarly specific energy use means to produce 1 kg of cement or steel or fertilizer, our energy consumption is slightly higher than that of international levels. So this speaks of like technology. So what are the barriers actually which are hindering this energy efficiency? One is awareness. So I am happy that Institute of Engineers have taken the lead to create awareness. Then education and training. Even yesterday when Virana sir called me, I just googled and I saw that this Ministry of Power, Bureau of Energy, they have started one home energy audit certification course. Only yesterday I have seen that they have launched yesterday itself, I believe. So they want to train final year engineering students so that they are able to audit their homes and audit the homes of others, so that they can come out with some recommendations. So education is being taken up in a big way, and lack of standardization and labeling. But now Bureau of Energy Efficiency has started the labeling program. I think you might have seen whatever electrical gadgets you buy, maybe fridge, TV, etc. They have got that star labeling is available now. It was voluntary in the beginning, but now for many of the items it is mandatory. Lack of financing as well as lack of effective coordination. Financing means some industries which are aged, elderly, old, having old technologies, old equipments, they don't have enough resources to change to the new technology. So Government of India enacted this Energy Conservation Act in 2001. They have come with the standards and labeling program also, and they evolve the minimum energy consumption and performance standards or notified equipment and appliances, right from fan, tube lights, LED lamps, pumps, everywhere they have come out with this standards and labeling program. So now that old outdated technologies will not be able to manufacture and sell because they are not conforming to the minimum energy consumption standards. So now agriculture, pumps, distribution, transformer, motors, illumination products, AC, fans, everything they are covered. And lately, I think 2007, India also came out with ECBC, Energy Conservation Building Code. Basically, civil engineers, when they construct any building like a commercial building with even hospital with the connected load of 500 kilowatt and above, it has to mandatorily go through this ECBC, Energy Conservation Building Code. So this Bureau of Energy Efficiency is an agency under the Government of India, created by Ministry of Power in 2002 under the provisions of National Energy Conservation Act. So the agency function is to develop programs which will increase the conservation and the efficient use of energy in India. Now they have an exam, as I was telling, they have got a exam which is conducted annually. The fees is almost 500 rupees for registration and 10,000 is for the examination fees. There are 3 papers for energy manager and 4 papers for the energy auditor. The 4th paper is the open book examination. And these textbooks and PDF copies of the books are available online free. Anybody can download, and I'd encourage any basically electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, they can just definitely go through these books. They are very valuable books because they will tell you how to find out the efficiency of your pump, boiler, furnace, etc. And very simple to use, and a lot of information is available, real life information is available in these textbooks. So this is a website, www.beindia.gov.in, and NPC, National Productivity Council, conducts this exam for BE. So I think as of now there are more than 10,000 energy managers and energy auditors in place. And this Bureau of Energy Efficiency also gives, today I think Energy Conservation Day, they give this Energy Conservation Award to various sectors for improving the energy efficiencies. And government also has this industries which consume lot of energy, like steel, fertilizer, paper and pulp. They have been listed as designated consumers. Then they are supposed to appoint and designate an energy manager. Then they have to get the energy audit done by accredited energy audit firms, and they have to comply with the norms like SE, specific energy norms, as laid down by B. Because as I told, we are as a nation, to produce 1 kg of cement or 1 kg of steel, the amount of electricity what we are using is still around 1.5 to 2.5 times more than that of any nation like US or Japan. So there are a lot of opportunities to reduce. Now coming to this electrical, some electrical engineers are there, learned engineers. So just few technologies I wanted to tell. There is something called MD controllers, maximum demand controllers. Then there is in electricity, I think very important thing is power factor improvement, especially when you are using inductive loads like induction motors and all. A lot of inductive loads is there, so there are power factor improvements, and now automatic power factor controllers are also there. And we have got now energy efficient motors, even energy efficient transformers, dry type transformers, which have very low full load losses. And welding sets are there. You have got earlier days you had transformer type heavy welding sets what you have seen, but today if you look at people who are using welding sets, you have got portable one, which are very small inverter type, which have got very low no load losses. And illumination also, now people have now gone for structural glazing, window planning, etc., so that you can take advantage of the natural light. But the point here is, when you have a lot of this glass allows a lot of heat also. So nowadays they are thinking of like 2 glasses, sandwich glass with the center portion is evacuated, and they are putting some inert gas like argon and also to improve the visibility. Like you have got in if you look at new coaches of Indian Railways, AC coaches, these glasses they have got sandwich glasses with argon gas, which have got a very good visibility, and they don't conduct heat. So I think just I wanted to tell some we as teachers, we teach mechanical engineering subjects like applied thermodynamics and all, but we don't teach really like what is the specific steam rate or what is steam consumption to produce 1 unit of electricity, or in IC engines like cars, buses, or vehicles. What is the specific energy consumption? We don't speak in these terms, but I think high time we speak of these terms also, and even the energy efficiency ratio (EER) for air conditioners. In Karnataka, there is organization CREDL, Karnataka Renewable Energy Development Limited. So this is a designated agency to implement the Energy Conservation Act of 2001. So you can see almost now I think 1 crore power connections are there in the country, in the state of Karnataka. So what we can do as individuals actually, we can educate our family members, friends. We can, I think most of the people have replaced the incandescent bulbs with a new generation LEDs, and even the fan regulators, instead of this mechanical old regulators, you can go for the slim electronic regulators. Use slim tube lights, LED tube lights. You can paint your, when you go for repainting house, you can go for white paint or light color paint so that it can reflect the light. Switch off gadgets when not in use, and when planning for a house, designed for allowing more natural light, daylighting basically. And don't use high grade energy like electricity for heating purpose. You can use LPG geyser, or best go for solar heaters. Even today I was reading our railways they are using the concentrated solar water heaters for cleaning the bogies, coach bogies and all in Golden Rock Workshop of Tamil Nadu. So even you might have heard of Tirupati temple, Sai Baba temple, and Mount Abu and all. They are using this concentrated solar energy for cooking purpose. So this is a renewable energy. Then ensure the automatic thermostat controls for water heaters, air conditioner, refrigerators are working in good working order. So now I think most of the people are switched on to LED lights and T5 lights and daylighting. So these are the even the fixtures. I have seen many people don't clean the fixtures also, because even if you don't clean it is not good, because if you clean, the efficiency improves there also. The lumens per watt, the amount of light given per watt of electricity consumed. So you can see incandescent lamps, they are very inefficient. They hardly give 14 lumens per watt, whereas this new generation LEDs, they give almost 100 lumens per watt. So the efficiency of LEDs are very high when compared to incandescent lamps. In our houses also, these RCC houses, if you see, 50% of the heat comes through the roof only. 30% from the doors and windows. Windows especially because you have put glass, single glass, so that you get the heat inside. And walls, some 15%. But now I have seen in Terry, Bangalore, on the roof they have made a garden, so that the heat which is coming from the roof is reduced, and so the AC load, because these all buildings are like having a big central AC, so the AC load is reduced. And moreover, people are now planting trees in the south and western side, so that the heat ingress is reduced. So this is a star leveling program by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. You can see the higher the number of stars, the more efficient the equipment is. It is slightly expensive. The equipment definitely is more expensive than a 2-star or 3-star rated product. But you should not look at the initial cost, but you should look at the life cycle cost of the equipment, and definitely people who can afford should go for higher star rating, like 4 or 5-star rating products like ACs especially, which consume a lot of ACs and fridge, which consumes a lot of electricity. Regarding industrial applications, there are simple things I would like to say. In India, we have got a lot of equipment oversize. This should be avoided basically. To give a simple example, in our house also you have got utensils and cookers. So you have got 3-liter cooker and a 30-liter cooker also. So for a small family, you can use small cooker. When the load increases, then you can take a big cooker. But normally in industries, we have got oversized equipment, and it is operating at part load. When it is anything is operating at part load, the efficiency reduces. So that is very bad. So you should have proper sized equipment. Go for the star rating now. It is there in almost all the equipments, and yeah, this building management system basically nowadays all along we never bothered about electricity and fuel because the cost involved is very low. Even in our houses, if you see today, the energy cost is not very high, so people are not bothered. But in industry especially, because the cost is now to be very competitive, the people are trying to cut costs, and now they are focusing on this monitoring the performance of the equipment also. And there is a concept of TOD, that is time of day metering. Means if you buy electricity, if you use electricity, especially in industries, from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. early morning, late night to early morning, then the tariff is reduced 15%. Even in Karnataka it is implemented. So people normally, if you go to dairies, you can see that during this time they produce this. They have got ice bank tanks. Though they use this electricity to produce ice, so that they for chilling, that is pasteurization of milk, this ice is produced, and they take advantage of this TOD, time of day metering. And for mechanical engineers, whatever this we are burning fuel, coal, oil, this whatever waste heat is going, that heat definitely is a source of energy, and we can use it for some productive purpose. So you can see nowadays this technology also now, if you you can see the screw compressors. Lot of earlier days you might have seen reciprocating compressors, but today a new generation you got screw compressors. Again, I will like to tell you that the specific energy consumption is very low. And second, you can see this furnace at bottom, very compact, like packaged furnaces are available now. So they are also using less energy and producing more they are more efficient. Even I spoke of this high energy efficiency motors, as well as distribution transfers, as well as pumps. So these are the various tips actually for boilers. I got a lot of tips basically. This presentation I will leave with Dr. Veerana. It can be shared so that people who have any interest, they can go through that. What are the various ways to conserve energy in boilers? Then you have got like furnaces, and just if you look at a steam power plant, simple steam power plant, these are all equipments. Like you have economizer which heats the water. Then you have got air preheater which heats the air which goes for combustion. Then ESP is there, electrostatic precipitator. The flue gas desulfurization in it, feed water heater. These lot of technologies have been incorporated in the steel power plant to improve the efficiency. Basically, regeneration system and reheating systems, they are already introduced. So even steam system, this steam system you can see in your Belgaum dairy. I have seen this. They use steam for pasteurization, heating of this milk to 72 degrees centigrade. So this steam system, you can see steam traps and all. If you visit, they will be more than happy. Even Institute of Engineers can plan of the people can visit that milk dairy and see a lot of things by themselves. So furnace is also a lot of one common thing what you can see is we most of the companies, they measure the oxygen level in the exhaust. So we should not use extra air also. If you use excess air, then the heat is carried away with the extra quantity of air which is being sent for combustion. And lot of technologies are now available for waste heat recovery. Whatever waste energy is going either from your DG set, anywhere from the industry especially, because industry things are stationary and they can use. Even people are now you might have heard of vapor absorption refrigeration systems, like big units, 500 ton refrigeration, 1000 ton refrigeration. Now they are using this waste heat energy to produce the air conditioning effect. Insulation, it is there. For electricity use also, a lot of steps are there. We have to maintain high power factor, 0.9 and above. Motors, you can I'll give one tips for motor. Actually in our college we were using a pump, main pump, which was almost 3 HP, and it was we have two pumps. One pump was consuming more energy compared to the other one. We found that this pump was rewound 2-3 times and it has lost its efficiency. So we replaced it with a new energy efficient pump. So we are almost saving 3 to 4,000 rupees per month on, and the payback period is less than 1 year. So this is why if you just go and check, you'll come to know that there are a lot of things, ways you can reduce. Even our college, the maximum demand was very high. Contract demand was very high when compared to the MD. So we have gone for reduction in MD and almost like 40% reduction in maximum demand we could do and save a lot of fixed charges. So you can see pumps, compressors. Nowadays for all these electrical equipments, one is you try to improve the power factor, and second is you go for the variable speed drive. We call it a variable frequency drive, VFD. I think electrical engineers will be knowing this. Even lift, pumps and all, they are using this VFD so that we reduce the electrical consumption, energy consumption. And air compressors also, instead of one big unit, railways also they have gone for small unit wherever it is required. Because when you are transporting, moving this compressed air through a pipeline, there is a chance for leakages and all. So DG sets also, if you look at DG sets, earlier days for 1 liter of diesel they used to give almost 3 units of electricity, but the new generation DG sets, they almost give 5 units of electricity. So 5 units, today diesel is costing around 90 rupees. It's almost 15 rupees per unit of electricity produced. So the cost of producing electricity through DG sets is very high. So vehicles, I think most of you also are knowing that we should use the right gear, check the tire pressure, use carpooling, switch off the engine beyond 15 seconds. So a lot of steps are available. Clean the air filter, use clutch only to shift gears, don't keep your leg on the clutch, left leg, and plan your routes, use AC only when required, and use the right quality lubricating oils. So a lot of this energy efficient measures for buildings, miscellaneous things, and even this motor. Earlier days you heard this motor generator set and rectifier set. Today, as I was telling, we have got all small inverter based sets. So they consume less energy and the low losses are very low. As I was telling, we have reduced the contract demand of this college. And nowadays AICT has come out with some activity points from 2018 onwards, so that our students have taken projects on energy conservation. They are going as a part of their activity point project, they are going and talking to people and creating awareness about this energy conservation. So I would like to wind up. These are the references. Bureau of Energy Efficiency, websites we have considered: Central Electricity Authority, MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, International Energy Agency, British Petroleum, and Economic Times. So